Imagine a dish so legendary it once sparked a war between two empires. We are talking about the Wiener Schnitzel. But here's the twist. That famous golden crust, the thing that makes it so irresistible, was never meant to be breadcrumbs at all. It was meant to be gold. Actual gold leaf. A medieval status symbol reserved for the richest tables in Europe. So how did a dish born from real gold become the crispy golden comfort food the entire world loves today? To find the answer, we have to travel to medieval Milan in Italy, where the wealthiest tables in Europe were covered in gold leaf. Gilding food was the ultimate power move. It said, "I am so rich, I eat money." But gold is expensive. So someone figured out breadcrumbs could do the same job for a fraction of the price. That trick was born there in 1134 by monks. It stayed until an entire empire moved in next door. So did Vienna steal the recipe, or was it far more complicated? The story usually begins with Field Marshal Radetzky. Legend says that in 1857, this Austrian general, stationed in northern Italy while the Habsburg Empire controlled the region, sent the report back to Emperor Franz Joseph I. The report was supposed to cover troop movements and political tensions. Instead, somewhere in the margins, Radetzky apparently could not stop writing about a breaded veal cutlet he had eaten in Milan. The emperor immediately demanded the recipe. It is a perfect story, almost too perfect. Because in 1969, more than 100 years after that supposed letter, an Italian food writer published a gastronomy guide that included this tale for the first time. Linguists and food historians investigated thoroughly. No letter was ever found, no original report, no margin note about veal. The story had simply appeared, fully formed, over a century after the fact, and been repeated so often it hardened into history. So here is what the records actually show. In 1831, years before Radetzky ever set foot in Lombardy, an Austrian cookbook already contained a recipe called Wiener Schnitzel. The dish was already in Vienna. It was already Viennese. The golden trick that had begun in Milan had traveled north through trade routes, through the movement of cooks between courts, through an empire stretching from the Alps to the Adriatic. And somewhere along that journey, Vienna made it its own. And Vienna didn't do this quietly. In Vienna, Schnitzel became a matter of serious, almost obsessive detail. It must be veal. If it is pork, the law, actual written law, requires you to call it something else. It has to be hammered so thin it is almost translucent, yet remain juicy inside. The coating must never press flat against the meat like a heavy blanket. A perfect Wiener Schnitzel must souffle. The breadcrumbs form a delicate, rippling crust that lifts slightly from the surface. A wavy, golden landscape that moves like silk in the pan. Austrians will tell you this is the difference between a schnitzel and the Wiener Schnitzel. They are not wrong. By the mid-1800s, this was no longer just a dish. It was a symbol of imperial confidence, of Viennese precision, of a city that took something borrowed and refined it until it felt entirely its own. It survived the fall of the Habsburg Empire. It survived 2 world wars and the redrawing of every border. It crossed oceans. The Japanese made it into tonkatsu. South Americans turned it into the Milanese. Israelis made it with chicken. The breadcrumb that began as a poor man's substitute for gold had quietly conquered the world. You do not need gold to feel like royalty. You just need the right crumb. and 9 centuries of caring deeply about the difference. Follow the history, not just the recipe. More dishes are waiting.